You're listening to In My Humble Opinion with Charles Lewis and Maxilia Robinson. Only on 101 Jams.
Okay, family. So next community group that we have sitting down with us, and I was excited. I'm always glad to get my guest in here, but I was excited about having Virginia Organizing join us. And so with the Charles and I in the studio are Harold Foley and Dale Irwin. Thank you guys for joining us. We really appreciate this.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. So, again, this is a stage for us to talk about the organizations that are local to us, the various works that they're doing, and get people involved and get them informed, most importantly, right? So I'll have you, Mr. Foley, kind of introduce yourself and what your organization does and your involvement there, and we'll kind of go on from there.
Okay, yeah. My name is Harold Foley, Jr. I am a longtime resident in Charlottesville, born and raised in Charlottesville. I lived in public housing for most of my life. I got in trouble for something that caused me to lose my rights to vote, so I'm an ex-felon. But what I've been doing is like taking care of myself and making sure that I understand what I need to do in life to keep my head above water. So what I've been doing is I have been with Virginia Organizing for 10 years as organizing, helping people become leaders.
And what prompted you linking up with Virginia Organizing?
It's funny, it started with an organization called FAR, the Public Housing Association of Residents. I seen one day I was standing around and a flyer came along saying, hey, do you want to, help, create organizers and learn something about public housing. The only thing I saw was $10 an hour.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Money talks. Money talks.
And so, with that, I learned about organizing with FAR.
Okay.
And after that, about 2006, I got an offer to work at Virginia Organizing.
Okay.
And, FAR is a local resident association, citywide residents association. And Virginia Organizing is a statewide organization. So Virginia Organizing was way bigger, and it was kind of nervous. I was very nervous when the executive director asked me to work for him. I guess that's the fear that a lot of men have, especially black men, that we're going to fail. But I'm there. I've been there for 10 years strong, helping people become leaders and getting people involved with issues like predatory lending, trying to stop up payday loans, health care, and of lately we've been working on restoration of rights.
And so a little more specifically, what is it that you do? Do you organize the campaigns to have those?
Well, so what happens is, it's a three-pronged thing. We do local work, we do state work, and we do federal work.
Okay.
And so local work is something that we organize locally. So it could be, if we get 5 people together and they said we want this stop sign to be out of our neighborhood, or we want a stop sign in a neighborhood, I help them to organize themselves to have, community meetings, then meet with the right officials. And then, if that doesn't work, let us to the editor, making phone calls, the whole nine.
Okay.
So I'm just like that point person to help people figure out how to become that leader that they always are.
Okay. Those are our local issues, and Dale, I'm going to bring you in just a minute, but let's take it a step further. So those are some of the local issues that you're working on. Any other local issues that are kind of worthy of being mentioned before we move on?
Yeah. So right now we having roundtable discussions with women, and particularly women of color, to figure out some things like income inequality or access to health care. Or, so what we're trying to do is what we normally do is find out what's the issues that we want to organize around. We don't want to come in, I don't want to be the person say, oh, you need to organize this because I say so. I would want the community to say, hey, we need to organize this because we need this. So that's what we do. We do like round tables. We figure it out first before we start jumping into doing anything.
Okay. And so you have one of your local volunteers along with you.
Well, she's one of our lead volunteers.
I get that.
Yes.
When she started talking, I get that.
I work for Harold. I do whatever he tells me to do.
Dale, thank you for joining us. Let's talk about your involvement. How long have you been with what prompted you to join Virginia Organizing? How long have you been with them, and what's your passion here? Why are you here?
Well, I've been with Virginia Organizing as a volunteer for about 5 years now.
Mm-hmm.
I am 80 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Just turned 8.
So I'm retired, so I have the time to work about things I really care about, and I really have a passion for social justice
Mm-hmm.
and for people who are disenfranchised, people who do not usually have a voice. And I find that working with Virginia Organizing gives me an opportunity to work for many causes that I really care about.
Let me stop you there. What kind of sparked that passion, would you say?
It's hard to say. It's sort of evolved over my lifetime,
Mm-hmm.
Particularly because my husband and I lived in the Chicago area, and he was a chaplain at the infamous Cook County Jail in Chicago for 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it was housed by mostly young African American men who were very uneducated and lacked opportunities in life. And as a chaplain, he originally thought, oh, well, I'll teach them the Bible and how to go to church and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
We found out that many of them could not read, had never had a job.
Mm-hmm.
Many of them had never even been out of their neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
So we started a school for prisoners in Chicago.
Okay.
And I worked in that program for about 30 years. And then we retired to this area. So one of my special passions has been ex-felons and felons, and again, disadvantaged people.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I like working for Virginia Organizing so much is for 20 years they have been working in the state, locally, and with the federal government as well, on many social justice issues. So,
Name a few.
Living wage, which is certainly an important issue for all disadvantaged people, health care for all, voting rights. So almost any social justice issue, housing, affordable housing for people.
Okay.
And we're trying to work on expanding Medicaid, which would affect about 400,000 people in Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
So all of these issues we really care about and work on, in addition to what Harold was saying, local issues like maybe you need a stop sign in your neighborhood or child care, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we're all about empowering people to work on the causes that directly affect their lives. Again, people who often do not have a voice or do not believe they have any power.
Right. Okay. And so when you first joined Virginia Organizing, I understand you started kind of targeting the Affordable Care Act.
Yes.
Okay.
That was a primary function because we believe that health care should be a right for all. And it directly affected my family in a number of ways. At that time, I was a senior in the proverbial donut hole, which is that gap in coverage. And I was recovering from cancer at that time and had very expensive medication. So personally, I was affected because of the high cost of drugs, which the Affordable Care Act was addressing. And then I had a son with a small business who wanted to provide insurance coverage for his employees, which the Affordable Care Act fought. I had a grandson who had had open heart surgery, which meant, before the Affordable Care Act, that he would always have a pre-existing condition if he needed to buy private health insurance. So a lot of those personal issues affected me, plus I knew of many other people who needed health care. And then with the expansion to Medicaid, that's something that affects, as I said, some 400,000 people in Virginia, and still it's never been expanded. So Virginia has been losing up to about $2 billion now because the legislature won't vote to take the money that is there that would help many people have adequate health insurance. So these are passions that we work on. We do demonstrations, letters to the editor, phone calls and letters to our elected officials, and we urge people to vote because voting is one of the most powerful things that we can do to affect change.
And that's actually what you're working on right now is the
Yes.
restoration of rights.
That is our passion through September. As you may know, there's a very important election coming up in November, and we want to make sure that we register as many people who've not been able to vote before. And we've been working on restoration of rights. As you may know, Virginia is one of about 4 states that does not automatically restore rights to ex-felons. We believe, as most people do, that after you've served your time, you should be able to be a full citizen again.
Of course.
We believe that you've paid your debt. And most states agree, but Virginia has been one that did not do that. And so in the past, if an ex-felon wanted their rights restored so that they could vote, they would have to apply to the governor. At one time, that application was 13 pages long.
Oh, wow.
Can you imagine how intimidating that is to someone getting out of jail if they wanted to vote? And then at one time, you had to have paid off all your court costs and your fines. And at another time, drug charges were considered violent offenses. And so that made it even more difficult to get your rights restored. But the governor has made incremental steps towards restoring people's rights. And then we have worked with the governor and the Secretary of the Commonwealth on this effort. And then on April 22nd of this year, we were thrilled, and many of our people were with the governor when this announcement was made, that he restored rights to all ex-felons who are off of probation or parole. And then he will restore the rights every month for those who've been released after April 22nd. So that those rights were restored to about 206,000 people in the state of Virginia. And unfortunately, many people don't know their rights have been restored. I was registering voters at Browns on Avon on Saturday, and many people came by and I said, would you like to register to vote? And they said, I can't vote. And I said, do you need to get your rights restored? Yeah, but I'm an ex-felon. And I said, the good news is your rights have been restored if you're off probation and parole. So it is very exciting to see people feel like they are a real citizen again when their rights have been taken away from them. And one man said to me after I registered him, I feel like I've been born again. And then another person said, I'm going to register, and I want one for my wife. She's an ex-felon too.
Okay.
So it's very exciting to register people.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break here. Before we go, what I'd like to do, can you just explain kind of the nuts and bolts of actually working on voter registration? I understand that I guess you have days that you designate people to come in and have that paperwork done, but tell us that pretty quickly.
Okay, we have 4 locations where we register voters on Saturdays from 10 to 4. One's at Mel's on Main Street.
Okay.
One's at the Cherry Avenue Barbershop. One's at the Shell Station across from Reed's Grocery.
Okay.
And one at Brown's on Avon Avenue.
Okay.
And we would love to have volunteers work with us. It's really a lot of fun to register people, and we would be happy to provide one-on-one training with people so they'd feel comfortable. And we would also love to have people come to our monthly meetings. We meet once a month, the first Monday of the month, unless it's a holiday, then it'll meet Tuesday like on July. But the first Monday of the month at Legal Aid, which is across from Washington Park, at 6 o'clock in the library. We would love to have anyone come check us out and become involved with issues that you care about and that are really important to the community.
Sounds good. We'll be right back. You're listening to In My Humble Opinion. Okay, we're back, family. Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis here, speaking with Virginia Organizing. I have Harold Foley and Dale Irwin joining us. Harold, I'll have you elaborate on this. I know there are various Virginia Organizing locations. Do you want to kind of talk to us about the different projects that you're aware of that may be going on at the other locations?
Yes, so Virginia Organizing is located in Stanton, Augusta, Harrisonburg. We have organizers there. Fredericksburg, we have 3 organizers in the beach area. We have an organizer in Lynchburg. We got an organizer in Blacksburg. And we have an organizer in Roanoke area. And Avondale area. So some things that we're working on, Virginia Organizing, we're working on Fredericksburg and the beach area is working on the prison to pipeline. The term comes from where kids are being suspended from school, and what they found out, Legal Aid came out with this discovery that black children and white children are getting in trouble for the same things, but black children are getting suspended. And once they get suspended, they're in the neighborhoods, they get in trouble. And what happens is they end up being in prison after that. So Fredericksburg area and the beach area is working on finding ways to stop that. With meetings with families, with going to the legislators and asking them to, stop the community officers from, suggestion to do to get children in trouble. So it's a action that is really pushing for folks who are in the situation to become leaders in the situation. And so Virginia Organizing also is working on racial profiling issues. We're trying to meet with some police chiefs, particularly in this area and some down in the beach area in Danville, to come up to help with some legislation about racial profiling, about police data collection and everything.
Have they been receptive?
They have, but we're trying to get a meeting with the lieutenant governor, and he haven't responded. And so, we had a big action.
In September.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about after he said he was going to do it. We had a big push where we had 600 people probably give him a phone call, text him, wrote him letters and everything, but he never responded. And we have police chiefs ready to go to talk to him about how they can help with data collection. So I don't know if you know this or not, but no one in the state of Virginia has to do data collection. So the information is not there because they're not doing it. And when I talk about data collection, I'm talking about when a police officer stop you, they would put down their race, the reason why they stopped you, and was you stopped by because he saw you, or was it this dispatcher said this was a problem going on? So that's some of the things that Virginia Organizing is working on throughout the state.
Dale, you mentioned earlier a few events that Virginia Organizing has going on, specifically the Social Justice Bowl. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes. For about 5 years, we've been having this Social Justice Soup Bowl. And we haven't had it for the last 3 years, but we're starting again this year. It'll be on November 18th. And we would invite people to come and join us. The tickets will be about $35, I believe we've decided on. And we haven't decided on the location yet, but it will be November 18th. And we will be providing scholarships for people who don't have the money to come and need that assistance. It's a very fun evening. We get soup donated by different people in the area, wonderful soups and breads. And the fun part is that local potters make bowls for us and donate them to us. So people come in and they pick out a beautiful handmade piece of pottery, and they can take that home with them. And then we also have desserts provided as well. It's a fun evening, fun way to learn about Virginia Organizing and meet other people who really care about social justice in our community.
So what I hear as you and Charles talk, you and Harold talk, is volunteers, volunteers, volunteers.
Absolutely. And let me say, it's a fun thing to do. It's an important thing to do. It makes you really feel good when you know you're doing something to help people.
So if someone wants to link up with you and provide their services, their efforts, how do they do that?
Well, call Harold. Harold is our organizer.
Call Harold.
And the phone number is 984-4655. That's 984-4655. Or come visit us. We're at 703 Concord Avenue. And tell us of your interest.
Right.
And we'd love to have you come to our meetings. As I mentioned, we meet the first Monday of the month at Legal Aid at 6 o'clock. So come check us out. We provide snacks so you won't starve to death before dinner. And tell us the things that you would like to work on, the things that need to be happening in your community. And help us. We all need to help each other. We're all in this together. And the more we work together, the more benefits we all receive.
And your volunteers, you take various trips. I heard you say D.C. and different places like that.
Yes, we've been to the Capitol a number of times, and we have volunteers going with us. Again, we believe that being involved actively, we're a nonpartisan organization, but we believe that being involved in politics, including voting and visiting our legislators, they're working for us. We are paying their salary, so they need to hear from us. And if they hear from us and know we're voters, they start paying attention. And one of the exciting things that we do is take young people to the state legislators and see how the government works, and it makes a huge impression. And we try to focus mainly on African American young people who've not had these opportunities before. So we do all kinds of wonderful things. So please
Sounds like it.
Call us and get involved.
So as we close this interview, I know one of the things that that you and Harold both kind of mentioned was how important it is to get out there and vote.
Thank you. I think there's almost nothing more important than being involved. As I was saying earlier, many people think the presidential election is the most important one, but it's not. The president is not a king, an emperor, and the president can do very little unless he has supportive legislature. So these off elections are critical, as well as the local elections. Look at Virginia. We can't get Medicaid expanded for over 400,000 people who need this health care desperately, simply because people didn't get out and vote and elect the legislators who will support these things. So find out what people will support before you vote, and vote in every election, and urge your friends and neighbors and families. And if you're an ex-felon, we can help you get your rights restored, because those rights have been restored as of April 22nd for everyone who's off probation and parole. So please get registered and vote.
Right. Your website, is that VA Organizing?
Is WW Virginia Organizing.
Virginia Organizing. Okay.
Oh, you can just Google Virginia Organizing, you'll get it.
Okay.
One more thing I want to talk about is definitely if folks feel like they could give to Virginia Organizing for sponsorship for the Social Justice Bowl, we would accept it. You can come to Virginia Organizing, or you can call the number. But what we really want to make sure that we have is a diverse crowd. We don't want just all white folks there. We want people of different nationalities to be there. So we also asking folks if they could give a donation to help with sponsorships.
Okay.
So could y'all give a donation to help with sponsorships? I'm serious.
We'll see. We'll talk about it. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
All
We
right.
help where we can.
Yeah. Okay.
So thank you guys again. You're about a great work. Thank you for what
Thank
you do.
you.
Best
It
of
was a
luck in what
privilege.
you do. And I know there are many citizens out there that are thankful for Virginia Organizing. Okay. You've been listening to Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis on In My Humble Opinion, speaking with Dale Irwin and Harold Foley from Virginia Organizing.